Paddy Kirk always tries to act in Beowulf's best interests in Emmerdale, but that doesn't guarantee he makes the right choices every time. The village vet has faced one crisis after another since Bear came back from Celia Daniels' farm. First, he helped conceal Ray Walters' killing. Then he worked to stop Bear from revealing the truth, and later he had to handle Bear confessing to the authorities. At the moment, Bear has been released on bail, meaning he's staying in the village until his court case. At the start of tonight's episode, he surprised Paddy and Mandy Dingle by announcing he had arranged another appointment with his therapist, Lucy. This marks significant progress, and both Paddy and Mandy acknowledged it. Determined not to undo that progress, they agreed with Dylan Penders to keep Ray's funeral hidden from Bear. However, as Bear walked down the road, he noticed Laurel Thomas chatting with Charles and Claudette Anderson. Claudette called him over and unintentionally disclosed that Laurel and Charles were heading to the Chapel of Rest. Bear firmly insisted on accompanying Laurel. Inside, Laurel softly said her final goodbye to Ray and reflected on how his life might have turned out differently if Celia hadn't taken him in as a child. Due to the Stockholm Syndrome caused by years of grooming and abuse, Bear believed he shared a genuine bond with Ray, so he also became tearful while saying farewell. Meanwhile, Paddy and Mandy learned from Claudette that Bear had gone with Laurel and Charles. Paddy was livid and immediately confronted Laurel as soon as she returned. When Bear came back, he seemed calm, though clearly emotional after what had happened. He stepped into the back room, leaving several villagers whispering about whether Laurel and Bear should have been allowed to pay their respects. Paddy launched into an intense tirade at Laurel, accusing her of letting Bear bid farewell to the man who abused him and whom Bear had killed. As he continued to shout, he didn't notice Bear entering the room. Bear told his father to stop and defended Laurel, firmly putting Paddy in his place. He reminded him that no one truly understands what he endured on the farm, and that saying goodbye to Ray, the man he killed without even realizing, was the least he could do. Deeply hurt by Paddy's assumptions, Bear said his father should feel ashamed. Right now, Bear needs as much support as possible. Will he and Paddy be able to rebuild their relationship soon? Emmerdale viewers believe Graham's true motive for returning has finally been uncovered, and it may involve a secret plan against Joe. Fans have voiced their theories following recent episodes, suggesting Graham Foster is manipulating Joe Tate and quietly arranging his downfall while pretending to support him. There's growing speculation that Graham is involved in a risky long game, with a dramatic twist waiting to unfold. Many think his comeback is driven by a concealed agenda rather than loyalty. Since reappearing in the village, Graham has promised to make amends with Joe, who he has always regarded as a son. Although Graham was seemingly killed in 2020, it was revealed earlier this year that he was actually alive. Joe has struggled to cope with the revelation after years of mourning, and he has made it clear Graham must prove himself by working for him if he wants to rebuild trust. Graham has since taken on the role of Joe's obedient supporter, with Joe warning him he'll be cut out of his life unless he remains loyal. However, as Graham has spent time around Cain Dingle during Moira Dingle's ordeal in prison, his allegiance has started to look uncertain. Graham has openly disapproved of Joe's harsh treatment of Moira, Cain, and the Sugdens, and viewers have seen him secretly advising Cain behind Joe's back. Joe is determined to seize Moira and Cain's farmland and has been pressuring them to sell. He even contributed to Moira's legal nightmare by framing her, making it appear she was involved with drug and human trafficker Celia Daniels. Soon after, Moira was charged with 2 murders when the bodies of Celia and trafficking victim Anya were discovered on her property. As Joe intensifies his efforts to claim the farm, it's not just the Dingles who are disturbed by his extreme tactics. Graham confronted Joe about his behaviour and later offered Cain his support, something that is set to continue. This has led to a popular theory that Graham is not truly backing Joe at all, but is instead working to destroy him. Some viewers believe he returned specifically to take Joe down, possibly acting undercover to gain his trust before exposing him. Others suspect Graham's mission is to gather information from Joe to clear Moira's name and protect the Dingle's land. According to the theory, Graham will ultimately reveal that helping them and removing Joe was his intention all along. One fan wrote online, "Graham is definitely not on Joe's side. Is he secretly working with the police?" Another commented, "I think Graham is going to be the one who ends Joe." A third viewer pointed out, "The look on Graham's face when Kim mentioned playing the long game, he's clearly doing exactly that." A fourth added, "He's absolutely going to get Moira freed." Another fan shared, "I really hope Graham takes Joe down and stands by Moira and Kane." One more post claimed, "Graham will uncover the truth about Joe framing Moira. I'm convinced he's fully on her side." A final comment suggested, "I believe Graham is undercover. He's perfected the act of pretending to support Joe. There must be a reason the police released him without charge when he was arrested. I don't know what it is yet, but it's bound to be big." Emmerdale has confirmed the status of Vinnie Dingle and Lewis Barton's relationship, following an unexpected twist. Actor Bradley Riches has even revealed the couple's official ship name. Earlier this week, viewers watched Vinnie and Lewis finally act on their feelings, sealing their growing connection with a long-awaited kiss. However, Thursday's episode hinted that their romance might already be in trouble. Could it really be finished before it properly began? The episode began with Cami Hadid arriving at the Barton house and teasing Lewis for finally escaping the friend zone, a phrase Ross clearly disliked. Their chat was cut short when Lewis entered the room and quickly left again, barely speaking. Vinnie, who had just happily admitted he was starting to understand himself better, immediately lost his smile and looked crushed. Later, he and Cami went to the cafe to find Lewis, only for Nicola King to inform them he was out collecting stock. She tried to dig for gossip, but they kept quiet. Once she stepped away, Vinnie opened up to Cami about how unsettled he felt after that morning's awkwardness. "It seems like he regrets it," Vinnie worried, though Cami brushed it off as typical Lewis behavior and advised him to simply ask what was going on. Vinnie admitted he wasn't sure he was ready to hear the truth. Vinnie later approached Lewis while he was playing pool with Ross and asked if he regretted the previous night, especially after leaving so quickly. He also wondered if his lack of experience with men had caused a problem. Lewis assured him he'd simply been in a rush for work and tends to focus entirely when he's late. "That's just how I am," he said. Once the misunderstanding was resolved, they admitted they were both smitten and shared another kiss, putting their relationship back on solid ground. Off-screen, Lewis actor Bradley Riches celebrated the scenes on social media, posting on X, "Autism representation in relationships is so important." He also shared that he approves of the fan-created couple name Lenny, which now seems to be their official ship title. Emmerdale airs on weekdays at 8 p.m. on ITV1 and is available to stream on ITVX and YouTube.